हेलो एवरीवन एंड वेलकम बैक। तो आप सबका एक क्वेश्चन रहता है कि बहुत लोगों के माइंड में मिथ्स होते हैं कि एमबीए करेंगे, ऑफिस जॉब, बड़ी गाड़ी में ऑफिस जाएंगे, टाई सूट पहनेंगे। बट आज हमारे साथ एक ऐसे व्यक्ति हैं जिन्होंने बहुत डिफरेंट वेराइटीज ऑफ या डिफरेंट स्टाइल्स ऑफ जॉब किए हैं और उनके पास बहुत सारा एक्सपीरियंस है, रियल लाइफ एक्सपीरियंस आफ्टर एमबीए। सो वेलकम सिद्धार्थ कौशल, हाउ आर यू डूइंग?
Hey, thanks, Harshit. I'm doing well. How about you?
सो इनका ब्रीफ इंट्रो दे देता हूं मैं। इन्होंने अपने कैट के टाइम पे 99 प्लस परसेंटाइल लाया था एंड इन्होंने एफएमएस दिल्ली से अपना जॉब किया। इन्होंने काफी सारी डिफरेंट कंपनीज में काफी सारे डिफरेंट जॉब प्रोफाइल्स में काम किया। तो लेट अस नो अबाउट व्हाट हिज एक्सपीरियंसेस। प्लीज सिद्धार्थ, टेल अस कि आपने कैसे चालू किया एंड व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट एक्सपीरियंसेस दैट यू हैड इन डिफरेंट कंपनीज।
Sure. So, I graduated from FMS in 2017, and during FMS stint, I did an internship with GSK in a customer marketing role. So that was my first experience of a sales and marketing role, and it was a field intensive role. I think I traveled 12 cities in the 2.5 months period. Met around 100 odd retailers, distributors, wholesalers. Try to understand. So my project is usually my project was focusing on the loyalty part of it. So how can we have a good loyalty program, or how can we improve the existing loyalty program? And it was a great interaction, great experience, because when you go out in the field, you talk to people. I picked up two interesting things. One, the amount of time people will give you depends on your market share at that retailer or distributor or wholesaler. Right? If you are a market leader in that market, they would treat you well, give you time. If you are not a market leader, they will not give you time. So that's one interesting thing which I picked up. So it doesn't matter which company you work for, especially in a sales and marketing role. What matters more is in which geography you are and whether you are a market leader in that geography or not. So it's yeah. So for people who are deciding on roles and somebody who's interested in sales and marketing, definitely look at the company's market share, like which are company is joining, like which is the does it have a strong market share or not, or how are its policy with respect to the retailers or wholesalers. I think would be good to, if you're joining a consumer product brand, say like Pepsi, right? Would be good to go and talk to a couple of kirana walas in your street, or people in the neighborhood about the brand, ask the brand perception. So that's interesting. So I think after my internship, I realized one thing, that, and while in campus itself, that I would not want to go for a consulting role, because I realized that this is what I would enjoy more. I would want to spend more time in the field, and I had this perception that that's where the learning happens. Right? You would learn when you are interacting with people, getting first hand feedback from customers. I mean, for a brand, a retailer or wholesaler is the customer. You don't directly interact with the end consumer, right? These are the people who are buying up your products and then selling to end consumer. And I realized that consulting would be more of a desk job, more passive.
So the sales is kind of hectic job.
Pardon?
थका देने वाला जॉब है सेल्स। बहुत ज्यादा घूमना फिरना पड़ता है, ट्रैवल काफी करना पड़ता है, काइंड ऑफ दैट।
It depends actually. I enjoy travel because everything that you do is built to company, right? So you would get good stay, you would get good food, and as an intern, these things are quite fun actually, right? Hectic thoda sa hota hai. Like I remember April summer in Calcutta. So I was interning in East region. So I was in Calcutta. Like I used to travel to West Bengal, rest of West Bengal, Odisha, Jharkhand, Bihar, and that too in April, May, June, when people have our internship. So I remember I'll go to the field at 10 a.m. in the morning. I'll be done by like 2 p.m. and my shirt would be drenched with sweat, and I would come back to I think I stayed at a PG in Calcutta, right? Or if I was in some other city I was traveling, I'll come back to the hotel, I'll freshen up and then go to office if I'm in Calcutta, or go to distributor or plan rest of the meeting in evening. So from that point of view, I'll not say it was that hectic, because all the retailers, everyone that you met, they treated you well, and you're getting good feedback. And plus, it had this flexibility that you can come back in the afternoon when it's too hot, maybe rest it out for some time, and then go head out again in the evening. And I think it's see, if you can either tire yourself by being on the field, or you can tire yourself by looking at screen whole day. So if you are on a consulting role or a IB role, you're looking at screen the whole day. And I personally experienced, because I've been at both places. I spent some time on field, and I think that was the only time which was more field intensive. After that, I haven't done much field intensive role. And right now, though, it's purely sitting in front of a screen all day. So I realize that this is equally hectic, man.
It basically depends on a person's mindset कि उसको basically चाहिए क्या है, कंप्यूटर के सामने बैठे रहना है कि लोगों से जाके बात करना है, इंटरैक्ट करना.
I think also about age. I think so. I was somebody who did not have prior work experience. So at that age, you had to have more rigor. Like I want to explore more. And now if somebody asks me if I feel job karna, like nahi ho payega, right? I mean, so it's also about age. Like at that age, you have more rigor. Do you want to you want to stretch yourself more and explore things.
So मुझे तो बहुत जोश है, मैं तो ये करके दिखाऊंगा. But later on when you know get old, then you realize नहीं, अब तो नहीं हो पाएगा, अब तो घर पे बैठो, जितना आराम चाहिए.
You would want to gradually improve the kind of people that you interact with, right?
Okay.
So, like for example, in my first job with GS, like for internship with GS, talking to retailers, wholesalers, like more on ground, right? Then post MBA, joined Times of India. So I was in their sales and distribution department. So my department took care of everything, including printing of newspaper and distribution to the pickup points in the morning, and then from there delivery boys picking up newspaper and delivering to customers. And I was working in a project which focused on improving the efficiency of this whole process. So it was largely an operations play. So I did an internship in sales. I was like, yeah, I might do a sales role, but then I jumped into a operations play, right? And this was just part of my, like, while I was supposed to join the department permanently after a year of MT program, I enjoyed my work. So I enjoyed my work so much that I was there in director's office there. So like the whole director of the department, I was in his team, and I enjoyed my work so much that I asked my director to cancel my MT program. This is what I want to continue doing. Like I was running that project initially, so it was a 3-month stint. So I was given that project in the 3-month stint. Either I would want to continue this, like I don't want to do rest of my MT program, go to other departments and see other things. ये मेरा full time project कर दो. So, and which was pure operations play. And in that, मैं रात को, like newspaper printing begins at 12 a.m. and I would go to newspaper press at 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, like, or I'll go in the evening, like, or at night, like 11 p.m. मैं जा रहा हूँ. I would spend time in the office for some time. Then I'll go to the press जहाँ पे printing हो रहा है. Press में मैं जो ट्रक होती है जो न्यूज़पेपर लेके जाती है, उस ट्रक में बैठ के जाता था to the depot जहाँ पे न्यूज़पेपर sorting होता है and it goes to delivery boys. So
पेपर डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करने के तुम ही जाओ, देखो भी तुम ही, and आप ही सब कुछ करो.
Yeah, correct. And I enjoyed that part also. And I remember I was in Bombay then, and I experienced true beauty of Bombay. Like it was so peaceful, 4 a.m. in the morning, and monsoon के time था तो और ही ज़्यादा beautiful Bombay हो जाता है. And while for that's a lot of hustle. Yeah, like you're staying up whole night, right? And you are like 6 a.m. आप डिपो पे खड़े हो, आप बात कर रहे हो जो भी वहाँ का सेल्समैन है या जो भी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन पीओसी है फॉर दैट डिपो, एंड वी आर लाइक 1 lakh copy of newspaper that needs to go to customers from that depot and trying to understand कि क्या process है and how can you improve it over the different touch points. So that was also an interesting experience, and so I never thought I will do that. Like it was a pure operations play. मेरे को था कि मुझे तो sales करना है या marketing करना है, because that's what I focused on. MBA मेरे electives ऐसे थे. But I realized that this is something which is really interesting. So I understood the process, and then I try to bring about change, right? Like I try to uh, identify gaps in the process. So then my director was like, "Yeah, fine, let's talk to other departments," you know, and that's where I realized कि sorry.
You try to innovate something कि नहीं ये चीज में हमको थोड़ा सा गड़बड़ दिख रही है, इसको इम्प्रूव किया जाए, that kind of.
Yes. So see, efficiency वैसे आएगा, right? You try to find loopholes and you try to improve on them, because when you build a process from scratch is easy. तुम कुछ भी अपने हिसाब से define कर सकते हो, but existing process को तुम से tweak कर सकते हो, right? You can optimize it. So when I went ahead with solutions, I realized a big problem in a big enterprise, which is basically nobody wants to own a problem. People wants to blame the other person. Like हमारे department में सब सही है, you go and talk to other department, right? So then I started. Correct. So then I was like, yeah. So then I was talking to, and then this is all about time, right? Like ultimately हमें time save करना, like how do we ensure कि newspaper लोगों के पास जल्दी पहुंच जाए, because at that time the battle that print industry was facing is that the use case or the case study was that अगर newspaper हम पहले पहुंचा दें लोगों की उठने की, then there's a higher possibility of them picking up newspaper, because if they start reading news on their phone, then newspaper is obsolete.
Yes.
That's the hypothesis, and which is very true.
Yes.
Right. So then I started trying to implement solution. I realized कि boss, nobody wants to coordinate. Like different departments could push backs, give their own arguments. And I realized this place is not for me, because you can't implement solution. You can't bring about change. And then every effort that I make in identifying gaps and solving problems goes for a waste. Plus, I did pick up a couple of more projects. So one of the projects which I picked is how can I improve readership of vernacular publications. So Times 70 had this Marathi newspaper, Maharashtra Times, and they had this Hindi newspaper. I'm forgetting the name. So I say, how can I improve their readership? But I realized like by that time I had lost interest in working with Times, and I realized कि भाई आप कुछ startup join करते हैं. So I drew up a list of companies I thought I would join, Flipkart, Amazon, like these were the tier 1 startups then, right? Zomato, Swiggy. Pardon?
मैं बोल रहा था कि like उस time पे ये सब newly emerging companies थी.
Yes. These were the hottest companies. Yeah, this is 2017-18. So these were the hottest companies then. Flipkart, Amazon, Swiggy, Zomato. I think these 4 I remember. I don't recall others. And plus, I was like, I would work with a company जहाँ पे I can understand the product, right? I engage with the product. Like, I myself won't read newspaper. There's no point working for newspaper, right? Like I would use Zomato, I would use Swiggy, I'll use Flipkart, Amazon. तो वहाँ जाके काम करते हैं.
Okay. So
yeah.
When you switched from Times and you thought of going into new startups, so like एक कोई जो कंपनी है जो काफी जैसे टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया काफी पुरानी चीज है, काफी टाइम से न्यूज़पेपर बना रही है और बेच रही है, सो इट इज लाइक मोर फन टू वर्क देयर, और जो आपका जो स्टार्टअप का एक्सपीरियंस था कि लाइक कोई एक नई इमर्जिंग कंपनी में जा रहे तो उसमें ज्यादा काम करने में मजा आया, लाइक कौन सा थोड़ा कॉन्ट्रास्ट दोनों कंपनीज का?
Actually तो it's a really interesting question. It truly depends on who you are, right? If you want work-life balance, if you want 9 to 5 job, then you should work for a big organization जहाँ पे कुछ because वहाँ पे processes set हैं. Your objective is just to run the process, right? Your learning should be limited, but then you would have peace of mind. Nobody would call you late at night for work. Like Times anyway, when I used to go to depot at night, nobody would bother me in morning. Then I'll come to office next day at post lunch, like 1-2-3 baje aunga, and everyone would be cool with it because they knew I was out in field at night. And nobody would call me on weekends, or nobody would call me after, like if I'm having an office day, then nobody would call me after 6 p.m. ki bhai ye kuch hua ki nahi, right? That's the kind of job that it was. And then Zomato was completely different experience, because startup mein first there are always less people than the amount of work there is, so everybody is stretching, everybody is overworking. Then there are no processes. So you are building processes. Third, even founders don't have 100% clarity on जो चीज कर रहे हैं वो सही है कि नहीं, right? Like there were times when Dipinder, sorry.
They are also in dilemma. करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए. Like we should implement this idea.
They are also figuring it out. Yeah. They are also figuring it out, right? Like because I would remember there were times when Dippy would come on a town hall and say this is what we're going to do for next 3 months, and then 1 month later we'll change what we were going to do, because what we thought was not working out. So there was always a lot of ambiguity. So if you want to work in a startup, you should be able to accept these things. You should be able to accept that you would not have a work-life balance. You would not work 9 to 5. You would work 9 to 9, 9 to 10. Like you would do 12, 14-hour shift easily. You may need to work on weekends as well. You would not have a clear defined things to do. Like it's and then it's also about how can you add value. Like can you bring about some, sorry?
Can you know what values you are adding to the company? What new things
so it's about
to the table?
It's a lot of times there are enough new things actually, but can you put some method to madness? Can you say if there's a lot of pressure, how much pressure can you soak in, right? Like for example, I in Zomato I was always managing my team. And at one point of time, I had a team of 90 people, including my direct and indirect reports. Right? Like I had 10, 12 direct reports, and then they had team under them. And at any point of time, I ensured that I don't pass on the pressure which I am getting. So if there are things that are changing in top management, if there are processes that are changing, I would try to soak in as much as possible, and I would always pass on more filtered information to my team, so that for them it is as much certainty as possible. So I would try to keep a steady ship. That's a value that you can add.
Okay, so
right.
You work like a filter. मेरे पास इतना सारा एकदम से लोड आ गया, लेकिन मेरे को अपनी टीम को छोटे-छोटे like small tasks में काम देना ताकि उनका efficiency बना रहे. Kind of like that.
Efficiency बना रहे. Plus it's also how you manage the work that you get, right? So if I'm getting 100, I can't do 100 things, right? I would need my team support in it, but then I would assess if इसके पास कितना काम है already, and I would accordingly give work to people. I would see what people are enjoying doing what. So accordingly, I'll align them responsibility. And good thing is that in startups, you'll always find like-minded people. Like I know if I am stretching, I know my team is also ready to stretch with me. It's not कि like मैं 12 घंटे का टीम बोलेगी नहीं आप 12 घंटे कर लो आपको ज्यादा पैसा मिल रहा है आप MBA करके आए हो हम तो नहीं करके आए हम 8 घंटे का ठीक है तो ऐसा नहीं है they also have equal rigor to learn and to grow right so they're like ठीक है आप 12 घंटे कर रहे हो तो हम 14 घंटे करेंगे so I was fortunate that I was working with such people so they are like नहीं सर आप लोड मत लो हम लोड ले लेंगे like नहीं but so that's the mutual respect that you have for each other that you would want to make things easy for each other and so that's one interesting thing apart from that so again startup experience ऐसे ही रहेगा right but there would be immense growth like I learned so much during my time at Zomato because if there's always like to put simply there are times that we are so I ensure that our team stays ahead of the curve like so we ran better processes than the processes that were running parallel so then we had an opportunity to pass on those processes to the rest of the country and we had more learnings and one thing which helped us is the initial argument which I said like we were market leaders in our market and so it gives you room to think to innovate when you're not chasing somebody
so
and that's my
so working in a startup is like growth from a stable company growth is higher learnings are higher and at the same time workload is much more than a stable company or a big organization so it works like that in a startup kind of
yes because you are a lot of times you are a micro entrepreneur like nobody's telling you what to do like 9 out of 10 days nobody's telling you what to do like I remember there are a lot of times when manager and I were just discussing, and I was telling him, yeah, aisa kar sakta, aisa kar sakta. He was discussing, and we were figuring things out because he was also not sure what's the best way to proceed things. So you add a lot of value if you contribute in the right way, and you are rewarded definitely for it. So their compensation difference always there. Like my understanding is that in corporate, your compensation is proportional to the amount of value that you add. And yeah, so if you're working 12 hours, you will compensate accordingly. If you join IB, right, and you would be IBs are the best paying job, but then you would also end up logging 14 to 16 hours. Like, so that's the expectation that people need to come in with. कि ऐसा नहीं MBA के बाद पैसा मिलेगा, right? There will be people who would be paid 20 lakhs after their MBA. There will be people who would be paid 15 lakhs. There will be people who would be paid 60 lakhs. That is directly proportional to the kind of work that you pick up, the complexity of work, the time that it might take, and your own capabilities as judged by the interviewers, right? Again, it's not about what's your actual capability, it's just how much are people able to perceive. Could have to do with your academic rigor कि तुम कितने अच्छे कॉलेज से like undergrad करके आए हो, तुम 10 12 में कितने अच्छे मार्क्स लाए हैं, तुमने MBA में कितना rigor दिखाया. Actually MBA is a great battleground to prove yourself because you are with the sharpest minds, and it's there are a lot of opportunities to prove yourself, to gain experience, to, like people say, CV points, right? It's a battle of CV points.
So let's come to an end with this discussion. And like बहुत सारे लोगों को लगता है कि नहीं यार, एक ऑफिस में बैठेंगे, वहां पे आराम से जॉब करेंगे लैपटॉप के साथ में बैठ के, तो वो तो मिथ है. एंड एक्चुअल रियलिटी तो आपको पता चल गई है. एंड सिद्धार्थ, वन मोर थिंग कि अगर आपके पास कुछ गोल्डन टिप हो या फिर कुछ एक एक्सपीरियंस या फिर जो एज अ मोटिवेशन लोगों के लिए काम करे, एनीथिंग लाइक दैट you would like to share with us?
I think something which has worked for me and which I would recommend is like nothing is more important than consistency if you want to succeed in life and beat anything. Like CAT crack करना है, अच्छी job crack करना है, MBA में मचाना है, life में मचाना है. Just be consistent. Just show up every day. It's okay to take breaks, but then treat breaks as breaks, and just keep at it every day.
Thank you, Siddharth, for telling us what actual life after MBA looks like. And thank you for sharing your experience.
Not a problem. Yeah. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye. Take care.